Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. Hey, listen, I'm listening to everyone talk about what Draymond Green needs to do to play better and all this. They're talking about the stats and all of that. I'm not worried about those things. I'm telling you what I need Draymond to do tonight, right here and now. Rebound the ball, man. That is it. Assist your team with crashing the glass. That's where you're getting killed. Play interior defense much better than you have, and that's a systematic thing that I'm sure you guys will adjust to. But as far as Draymond's effort, less talking to the refs, less flopping around, less fouling unnecessarily, especially as it pertains to trying to draw fouls. The referees are not falling for any of that in the finals. If it works early in the game, maybe they're officiating this game particularly, maybe it works. But in the third game, it just didn't, okay? We were seeing him do a lot of stuff that was just unnecessarily bad on top of lacking production out there. And then he was getting further frustrated. The crowd was roaring. All of that is just, if you're in your second year, first year, I'm okay, fine. He's having issues with the crowd. It's loud. It's Boston. This is year what? 13 or something like that for Draymond Green? I don't want to hear that from him. With all the wars that he's been through, all the championships, battles that he's been a part of, I think he can't handle the Boston Garden right now at this stage in his career? I'm not trying to hear that. I am just not hearing that. I don't think the Golden State Warriors or the Boston Celtics were affected by any of that energy, because the narrative, of course, is that the Celtics are afraid of their own home court. None of that is true. I just think Draymond Green needs to reel it in, take care of himself, a.k.a. rest at night instead of turning on the camera for the finals when you know you got all kinds of long flights ahead and short amount of time between these two games. Nourish yourself, do things like that make a lot of sense. And then get on the floor and crash the glass. That's the moral of the story. It's not about him upping his assists. His assists come and go with the system itself, and plus other players on the team are doing more in terms of the facilitating duties. Now, they do need to play better in terms of their assists. They need to up that in this series. They need to do that. But as far as him and his assists, that just comes with them connecting on plays. A lot of that stuff is turnovers. A lot of that stuff that normally works out is stuff that's turning into good defensive plays for the Boston Celtics. So if you're wondering why you're not seeing the assist numbers, you got to credit the Celtics defense for what is taking place down there. Ultimately, it's up to the Golden State Warriors to adjust to that, and Draymond Green specifically to adjust to that. But it starts with the glass. That's where he can really help himself. His scoring, I ain't going to ask him to shoot a bunch of three-point shots. I'm not going to ask him to try to dunk the ball on every play necessarily. If he can get a couple good, easy buckets, cool. But other than that, his focus should be getting second chance points for his team and ultimately expressing what he feels the adjustments need to be, putting his input in to the situation, because ultimately I think that's what it is anyway. I'm sure Steve Kerr is open to listening to what he sees out there. With that being said, Draymond Green is asking people what he thinks he should be doing. Let me word myself correctly. He's asking what we think he should be doing instead of podcasting at that time. Resting, eating, studying film. If you want to know the true family, if you want to know as a fan, as somebody who's rooting for you to win the championship, what I want you doing in those 30 minutes when you're doing that podcast is studying film. Studying Jaylen Brown, studying Marcus Smart, studying Robert Williams, studying all of these guys even further. Because I respect that he's done many hours of homework on these guys. I don't doubt that. But I know he would be doing more if he didn't have a whole podcast to do. I know that. He would be doing more. You know, it's just sometimes, guys, I'll tell you this. I'm going to say this. If Draymond Green didn't have any championships, he would not be doing this. And that's why you gotta not do this, because you gotta respect that a guy like Al Horford is looking at you like that, saying that exact same thing. Like, you know what? I don't have any championships. I'm not gonna be sitting here playing around doing podcasts and not eating when I get home and all that kind of weird stuff that you know you can't do when you're an athlete in the championship. No, I'm not gonna do that because I don't have a championship, and I'm not gonna play around like that. Draymond's got a couple. I really do think a lot of times guys just get comfortable. And this screams of being content with 3 rings. And you're in the finals. And I don't think the rest of his teammates feel that way. And so that's where I'm at. with him and his effort and what I've seen out of these playoffs. He's screaming, he's hollering, he's roughing people up. He's saying he needs to meet force with force, and he's not taking care of his body when he knows he's one of the only bigs being used. I don't understand it. He's focused on responding to us, telling him to focus on the game. Why the hell are you telling us? That's not a focus you should have. The sheer notion that you have to respond to people means that you've done something to create some type of action toward you. People are saying something to you because you're doing something that they think you shouldn't do. That environment is created by that choice. So I don't think they give out championship trophies and rings for podcasts, bro. I know that they don't. I know it. They don't do that. As a lot of as Chris Broussard said, if you're playing well, nobody's going to say anything. But since you're not, it's necessary to speak on what we're seeing there, which is somebody who has a higher priority than winning a championship. And unfortunately, his teammates going to have to suffer that as well. Unless they make the adjustment, you know what I mean? Unless they make the adjustment, take that out of his control, because at the end of the day, it's up to Steve Kerr to put people on the floor. We can sit up here and talk about all this about Draymond as we do, but at the end of the day, if a player's struggling, you know what the coach's job is to do, right? You sit him down. I don't know if Draymond's ready for that, but it might be necessary. It might be necessary. So I don't know. If I'm Steve Kerr, I might have already taken that responsibility out of his hands, to be honest with you. Depending on how I feel that in this situation, as bad as he's looked, I don't know if I can afford to give him another opportunity at the same usage, just to find myself down 3-1. I don't think I can do that. So we'll see what Steve Kerr does. Like I said, his whole thing has been about relying on people he's trusted in the past. So I don't think he can win that way, and we'll see what happens. I did pick the Golden State Warriors to win this game, but it's just certain things that you think about. You say, you know what? None of this looks good for the Warriors, including Steph Curry's injury. None of this looks good. This turnaround was too fast. They needed like another 2 days rest to try to get themselves together, and I just have real doubts about the type of energy they're going to come out with, and I have real certainty about the type of energy they're going to be getting back from that Boston crowd, because it's going to be just as bad as it was in Game 3. They are, in fact, even more so inclined to be more, fired up based on everything that's being said about them. So I'm expecting that. I'm expecting Boston to be crazy loud, and I'm expecting Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to silence them, because they should have some success on the road in this series. They are, in fact, the Golden State Warriors. I don't expect them to just lose every game on the road in this series. But I will say this, we don't have a whole lot pointing in that direction. I will say that much. So that's what I got to say, man. Draymond, rebound the ball, period. The end. Rebound and defend if you're going to be out there. And coach, put more bigs on the floor. You have Kuminga. You can jump out the gym. You can get a couple rebounds. You need that. Otto Porter Jr., we've talked about this. Play these guys. They are not, it's not a secret that these guys are playing well. That's what needs to be said. We all can see that Gary Payton II is one of the better players to play in this series. We can all see that. Otto needs to be played more. We can all see it. So it's there. Now it's up to Steve Kerr to come around to seeing what all the rest of us see. That's what I got. Video 44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.